Welcome to Kim Talks Resilience, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Speaking with authors, entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches to learn their strategies for a more resilient life so we can all build the life we love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. All righty. You know what? Today we're lucky because today we've got a gal with the coolest last name. So of course, it's going to be a great day because I think that we can embrace these and adopt these and create great conversations. So Lia Bliss is a renowned speaker, coach, and entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in personal development and entrepreneurship. With her unique blend of insight, inspiration, and practical strategies, Lia is dedicated to helping individuals and businesses unlock their potential and achieve greatness. She is also deeply knowledgeable about LinkedIn algorithms. And folks, if you don't have a LinkedIn account and you're wanting to do business, you need to go get a LinkedIn account. I absolutely swear by LinkedIn. She is deeply knowledgeable about the LinkedIn algorithms, which are different than Facebook, folks, social selling, and the habits it takes to build engagement. And we're going to dive into this because this is one of my biggest challenges is that whole social media space. Let's bring Lia in. Oh, you're too little. You're too little. There you are. We got to see you in all your glory. Okay, folks.
I don't think anyone says that about me. I've been powerlifting for almost 10 years, and so I don't think.
Awesome. Okay, hold up both guns. Hold up both guns. Good girl.
Oh.
They say strength training is what you need to do, as you know, and you're still young, but that's something I need to do is start doing strength training because muscle retention as we get older is harder.
Yeah, bone density, muscle retention, the whole it's like I have many passions. This is just one of them.
Oh, I have many passions. Many include a glass of wine, which is the counterproductive part to okay. So let's get off the wine. Lia, before we get started, where are you coming from?
From Salt Lake City, Utah.
Awesome. Been there, done that. I love Salt Lake. It's beautiful. There's even skiing and stuff. You guys have a somewhat similar topography that we have here in Calgary. You have lots of low flats, but you have great mountains also. So you can have all 4 seasons in a single day.
Yeah, unfortunately.
This is how we have such big closets in our house because you can't put anything away. The winter wear does not go away. No. So let's dive in to a little bit of who is Lia and then what you do.
Who is Lia? I often ask myself, and when I work with executive coaches, that's a big thing that I do. I work with executives, whether you are in a Fortune 500 company or if you're a solo entrepreneur executive. But I often ask this question, who are you without your job title? And I think a lot of us, if you could not define yourself by your job or as a mother or a wife or the role that you act in service, how would you describe yourself? So I really like to look at that angle. And when it comes to who is Lia, without any of the things that I do in service, I truly am a person of passion. I love learning. I love data and numbers, and I love reading. But you mentioned my last name is Bliss, and I truly live by that saying, follow your bliss. I aggressively go after things that fill me with joy, whether that is opera singing or weightlifting or reading, or I just took a paint by numbers of all things. And so it's just all things that I want to do because they make me feel full of bliss.
Amazing. Paint by numbers, you can actually put a photo into a company.
Yes.
And they will send you that photo back along with the kit to paint your own photo on a canvas. I'm sitting here going, that is so cool. I'm going to do that someday. It's on my long list. When I slow down enough, I will actually do that. That is very cool. So let's talk about.
I'm not that good at it.
You know what though? It's about, hey, I have seen stuff sell for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm sitting here going, seriously? And,
Yes.
some of those NFT trends,
Yeah.
hello. Okay, so let's talk about what you do, and then we're going to. I want everybody to know that you are a author,
Mhm.
and this is how we have connected, and this is hilarious. The Everything is Your Fault. We're going to be talking in depth about the book here shortly, but I do want to talk about what you do and how you serve.
Sure. So to flip back into that, I work as a coach, as a mentor for executives who want to increase their ability to be visible on LinkedIn. I spent a lot of years really hyper focusing on how to be successful on LinkedIn, how to show up. So I come in a multitude of ways. I recently just finished a contract with a leadership training company where I worked with the two co-founders. It's called Elevate Leadership, and they are just the most fantastic women I've ever met. But I sat down with them and their very small marketing team, and we said, how do we increase engagement and visibility for the brand by increasing visibility for the individual? Because
Yeah.
in today's world, we can't separate the brand from the person, right?
No.
Tesla is a great example of this. We
Yeah.
we now know who CEOs are. And if you are a CEO or a leader who's not showing up with a personality, opinions, leadership style, especially on LinkedIn, you're missing a huge opportunity to show up for your professional brand.
Yeah.
So I come in, teach people how to write posts that are going to get engagement, how to deliver those posts in order to get engagement. And then I also train sales and marketing teams, because if we think about LinkedIn as a never-ending networking event, people forget how to act because the digital removes us one
Yeah.
step from an in-person conversation. And if you're a salesperson, you're good at that. You've got that je ne sais quoi. You know how to be a good salesperson in person. But somehow all of those skills are not very naturally transferable to an online space. So I come in and train everything from big tech to law firms, pharmaceutical companies. I've worked with tens of thousands of salespeople to teach them how to utilize LinkedIn. I have a whole segment called How to Get Your Prospects to Cold Call You. And so
Oh,
that's
wow.
yeah, it's the power of LinkedIn is so underutilized by so many people.
Mhm.
So I'm so passionate about it. I love it.
Oh, I'm like, ditch your Facebook. Ditch, like,
Yeah.
seriously, ditch the Facebook. Your Instagram should only be for if you have a visual content that you
Uh-huh.
want to share out, or if you have if you're doing sales in kind of that lower price range, in the sense that it's not a high ticket offer.
Yeah,
Uh,
B2C. So if you're a
yeah.
business selling to consumers, Instagram is a fantastic platform. If
Yes.
you're a business selling to other businesses,
Yeah.
you have to be on LinkedIn. If you're not, you
And
don't exist.
yeah, keep your politics, keep your
Yeah.
religion, keep all of that out. What
Well,
can I learn from you? That's
there's
what LinkedIn is what can I learn from you? How can we work together?
yeah, well, what's interesting about LinkedIn, so we don't see a lot of politics or cats writing Roombas on LinkedIn. And that's because, and there's several things. One is that Facebook, the way that they generate revenue as a company is through advertising. And so
Yep.
the more we call it the rage economy, because
Yes.
you see people on Facebook, right? Ugh, rage, rage, rage. And it's all
Yep.
division, division, division. That drives more users to the platform, which drives more of that
Revenue for their
advertising revenue.
advertisers. Yeah.
LinkedIn does not, 80% of their revenue comes from a subscription model
Yeah.
for companies that are paying for Sales Navigator, for premium
Navigator.
accounts, for Recruiter. And so there's actually a dedicated team of real life humans
Yeah.
that anytime a post on LinkedIn goes viral, they cross check it for appropriateness and they actively will suppress things that are not moving the conversation towards business.
Absolutely, because it is a business platform.
Mhm.
And you're I just yeah. I love LinkedIn. It's the only place I spend time.
Mhm.
I don't I have a team that does everything else. I avoid Facebook
Yeah.
actively avoid Facebook.
Actively avoid.
Yeah, I have yet to that whole scroll hole thing doesn't really bring a lot to, but on LinkedIn, man, some of the stuff I get for free,
Yes.
insight and information, like, and, for example, so I just had the opportunity to preview a new product. It's an
Mhm.
AI, SaaS product
Okay.
for LinkedIn called LinkyBot. And
Mhm.
it is very, very cool. So what it does is it takes individuals that are, experts like yourself at creating messaging, and you know how you talk about get them to cold call you. So
Yes.
LinkyBot help fills in some of that intuitive automation space.
Yes,
And it's
LinkedIn and automation is such a delicate balance.
uh-huh. And so if it's not specifically designed for LinkedIn, do not apply it to LinkedIn.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah,
And the number of companies I worked with this really big, relatively well-known company, and they brought me in and said, "Hey, we just really want you to teach us what messages to put when we blast out connection requests and messages to all of our prospects."
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, we should not work together then, because that goes against all of the foundational
No.
knowledge and skills that I teach." It
Yeah,
is
no,
not
yeah.
it's not a mass attack scenario for LinkedIn.
It's that if so there's different roles in every company, right?
Mhm,
And if your role is to nurture lead opportunities,
mhm.
then dedicate 10 hours a week to that. And that
Yes.
means not just an automation. That means
No.
ensure that you're reaching out to the right people because it's I sold real estate for years, and the reality is people who go, "How many people came through my open house?" And it's like, you only
Doesn't
need
matter.
one. We can only sell your house once. We
Yes.
don't need
Yes.
100. We need one qualified person at a time. And that's what I
Yeah.
really love about LinkedIn is LinkedIn really makes you take a step back from those mass funnels that you see on
Uh-huh.
Facebook and you
Mhm.
see on Instagram, and they bring you back to is is this the right person to speak to?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
And I've worked with companies all the way from the origin, something called the ideal client persona, because it starts with, can you identify the right person to talk to? With a lot of these bigger corporations that I've worked with, it is, well, I don't even know who the decision maker is or who has buying power or who. And so, even getting down to, can we identify a really clear client persona? And even on the other hand, I've worked very closely with motivational speakers where I've trained them on business systems, sales funnels, and processes. And and I've noticed even these solo entrepreneurs that I coach, they're like, "Oh, I want to talk. I want to get booked as a speaker." I'm like, "Okay, let's go talk to the people who are going to hire you." And they're like, "Well, I don't know who that is." It's like, oof, that's the first place to start.
yeah, exactly. And nothing's clear cut. Nothing's
No.
clear cut. I think we're all looking for magic beans and a simple way to approach things.
Yeah.
And I know that technology they say is to simplify, but in many ways it's made it more complex because we have to figure out the right questions to ask. And
Mhm.
then those right questions, who are we asking?
Yes. And that's what I love so much when people come and work with me is that once I'm a rebel. I'm a little rebel punk rock kid at heart. And it's truly, you have to know the rules so well in order to know how to break them.
Yeah. Or
Because
bend them. Like,
or just circumnavigate them.
there's gotta be a hole. There's gotta be a hole.
Yes, and so, the number of times that I get brought into a company where they're like, "Yeah, I post or I'm active on LinkedIn or I do kinda whatever," and then I come in and say, "Okay, well, I love that for you. However, all of your efforts have been for naught because you're actually doing everything wrong."
Yeah.
And that's no one likes to hear that. But then we get to the other side of the conversation where it's like, "Hey, here's all the intel, here's all the information that you need." And they see a 10 times turnaround in engagement in a week,
Yeah.
that is what I'm like, "Yes, I have done it again."
What's the, number one thing that you see people do wrong and how do you correct it? We're only going to do the one thing.
Ooh,
So,
one thing. Okay. If everyone listening could stop hitting the repost button on LinkedIn.
oh,
Everything you know about Instagram, flip it around. Everything you know about Facebook, flip it around. It's the upside down. So based on the algorithm research, when you click the repost or the reshare button on LinkedIn, it goes to 1% of your network.
so then
That
how do you repost something really super cool? What's the way to do that then?
the secret, the untold secret superpower of LinkedIn does not come in posting, but it comes in commenting. Let me break down a few numbers for you real quick. So when you click the repost button, it goes to 1% of your audience. When you post, so Kim, if you were to make a post on LinkedIn right now, it would go to 10% of your network. But when you make a comment on a post, it goes to 30% of your audience. And so when you see a post that you want to share with your audience because you find it valuable, instead of clicking repost, even if you want to add your own comments, that's actually worse for the algorithm and your reach. But what you need to do is write a comment. And a comment needs to be more than just, I love this post, thanks so much. Because you are essentially setting the stage for your audience to understand why you are bringing it to their attention. And so a comment on LinkedIn needs to have three things. You need to have acknowledgement of the author. So if I made a post about the power of LinkedIn and the power of commenting, and you wanted to share that with your audience, you would first tag me and say, Lia. Then you would restate the key points for your audience so that you can prep them as to why this is important. Hey, Lia, I love what you said here about using commenting as an entrepreneur in order to book more sales calls. Then, because you're also accessing 30% of your network, a greater percentage than any other method of engagement on LinkedIn, you're going to add your own insights. You're going to talk about how on the Kim Talks podcast, we often talk about engagement and how sales can be really hard. And one of the best tips I've ever noticed is this, that, and the other. Thanks again for sharing this post.
Wow.
The ripple effect of this kind of comment is essentially in twofold. Because one, 30% of your audience is going to see you actively participating in conversations around things that you are creating relevancy for them for. But also, you have now made a fantastic impression on whoever's post you're commenting on. No one comments like that.
Yeah.
And in the segment of training that I do with the how to get your clients to cold call you, we talk about going out and leaving comments on prospects. Don't connect with them. Definitely don't cold message them. But I have clients who will hire me to go and help create a list of their prospects and then find posts to comment on. Find posts where, hey,
What a
my
great
gosh.
way to even learn who you're reaching out to.
Yes.
So you're
To
doing
find,
research beforehand. Okay.
Mhm. Yep. So I'll compile a list of the people that they should be reaching out to based on several interviews. And then we come through, and I'll tell you this in a story. So there was an SDR, so a sales development rep, whose job was volume, to get as many booked sales calls as possible. But he adopted a lot of these LinkedIn strategies that I teach on, and he started commenting on this prospect. First, he cold called him, and the prospect was like, I charge money for my time. I'm very busy. Do not call me again. Click. All right, we've all been there cold calling. So this kid starts messaging him, not messaging, but commenting on LinkedIn, commenting. After about 2 months, the prospect accepts the connection request. Okay, but we're not quite there yet. Then the prospect starts doing, it was during Thanksgiving, and he was doing one of those, like a video a day saying what you're grateful for. So even though it breaks many of the algorithm content rules for success, this sales development rep started also posting the things he was grateful for every day and tagging the prospect in his posts, inspired by prospect to talk about what I'm grateful for. Here's my little video. 2 weeks later, the prospect cold called the sales rep and was like, I would love to schedule time for a meeting with you. Thank you.
Wow. Well, and people at the end of the day, and here's the reality. I know people are going, oh, well, we confuse as, and I see this more with women.
Mhm.
Sorry, ladies, but this is true. We've adopted this whole authentic. I want to be authentic. Well, here's the truth. If you are putting your thoughts and your values into a focused strategy
Yes.
to create sales, right? Because we have authentic people living underneath bridges. I don't
Yeah.
want to live under a bridge, right?
No.
But I can be authentic within attracting the people that I want to work with.
Yes. And you bring up a great point. So many times I get pushback that's like, ooh, this feels really inauthentic, really inorganic. It feels stalkerish. There are other more evolved strategies that are even more feeling of like, ooh, I'm like
Yeah.
a creep.
But you also
But
help their algorithm. When you comment
yes,
with any
yeah,
kind of depth, you're now increasing their reach because
yes,
LinkedIn sees them as a contributor of value. Am I correct on
yes,
this? This is just an
yeah.
assumption. Okay.
No, so if I were to break it down into a points system, the way to so if you want to go viral on LinkedIn, follow this formula because if you have to get over, we'll call it 100 points of value on your post in the first 90 minutes after posting. The way that you get points is through engagement. A like or a heart or a clap, whatever, is worth 1 point.
Okay.
If someone else reposts your post, it's 6 points, 5, 6 points. But if someone comments on your post, it's worth 10 points. And if you respond to that comment, it's also worth 10 points. And so,
Oh.
really, all you need is 10 comments in 90 minutes for your post to hit over 1,000 views, guaranteed.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you are like just this. I folks, I'm writing everything down. I'm hoping okay, and if you're listening to this and you're not, sitting at your desk, I want you to come back or you know what? We're going to be putting a lot of this in our show notes. And I'm betting with how like you must have great call to actions on your website. Do you have like good downloads or references or anything like that? Is there anything that we can
My
engage with you?
website is basically just like a landing page for fun.
Yeah,
LinkedIn. If you want to come and engage with me, come find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, because man, this is gold, folks. This is gold. So I'm gonna have all of this also in the show notes.
Mhm.
So when okay, so first let's go through. I'm so excited. I'm
It's
so
so much.
excited.
My
I'm
trainings, the best compliment I ever get is like, wow, that was really dense. Like,
yeah.
yes, I am quite dense.
Okay, folks. Okay, folks. Yes. That's awesome. Yes, I've been called dense. I'm called unique more often than dense. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's the nice way.
yeah, that's the unit that my mother used to say unique all the time. It's like, "Why are you giving me a helmet, mom?" Right? Okay, sorry,
Um,
folks. I digress. Okay. So, when somebody brings you on, are you helping to cultivate the language and identify their ideal client?
Yes. So the onboarding process is pretty complex, and I do use several AI tools. So if you were to be maybe a solo entrepreneur or an executive who wanted to hire me to come and run your social media strategy for a quarter, maybe two, we sit down and do one, maybe two single-hour interviews where I just ask you questions about your leadership style, your industry, your passion, your background, really get into the nitty-gritty of who you are and what you stand for. Then I have their team send me as much media as possible. If you've written a blog, if you've been on a podcast, if you have a book, any of that. So I take all of the pre existing content that's been written or created by this person and I put it into an AI bot that only uses that content as its source material.
Okay.
That way, it speaks like you, it knows everything that you've ever written, it understands who you are, but it doesn't pull from the internet. It doesn't access the internet at all. It's only what I teach it.
Yes.
Then we sit down. So now I've got this pseudo you,
Yeah.
right? I've got the Kim bot, and I can talk to it about different topics. So then you and I would sit down and create a strategy around your ideal client persona. Who do you need to talk to? What's the buyer like? And I like to think of it as online shopping for prospects because you just use filters, right? How many filters? What's the geography? What's the yearly revenue for the company that you're going after? What's the industry that they're in? Is it a marketing specialist? Is it an HR professional? What is their leadership degree? Like, is it a director? Is it a manager? Who are you talking to? So we work through all of those, and then I marry them together to create content that speaks on all of the topics that you are the expert on, but it's slanted in such a way that it's only speaking to that ideal client audience. Then we create a list of those people based on kind of what your needs are. Usually it's about 100 people. And then we start this process of a daily commenting and usually just once a week posting to talk about the things that are important, to provide endless value to that ideal client. But then also just showing up and putting a drop in the bucket. Hey, hey, right? Those little comments, you start to get this brand awareness because it's like, oh,
Yes.
this person like showed up for me. They didn't ask to connect. They didn't ask for a call. They didn't ask for anything, but they're giving into this relationship slowly over time. And for most of my clients, they don't have to send out connection requests because they are receiving a flood of connection requests.
Yes. And LinkedIn also has, because I've been where they will send out for contributors to different articles,
Mhm.
and definitely should be doing that. Definitely, if you
Yeah.
get a request from LinkedIn to contribute to an article, you should definitely take the time to do that.
Yes. And shameless plug, if you hire me, we will get you a badge. That I have mastered the strategy. If you want a top contributor badge, 3 weeks
Okay.
notice.
Aha! See, I do not have one yet. Ho, we may need to talk
You
here.
may need a
I this has been such a wealth of knowledge. Now, so statistically,
Mhm,
less than 9% of all businesses will hit 7 figures. And for some
mhm.
reason, we're all programmed that if we don't hit 7 figures, our company has failed. And the
Yeah.
reality is small business is the backbone of North America.
Yes.
Absolute
Yes.
backbone, folks. It is the backbone. We all look at, these multi-billion dollar corporations, but small business is what keeps our local economies moving.
Yeah.
So if your company's at the quarter million or half million, you're still successful, right? Because the
Absolutely.
average entrepreneur I think the average entrepreneur generates around 70,000 a year. After you take out all their cost of operations, they're actually generating 36,000 a year for the personal income.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
So these are all things that when we're looking at this, so I know that even when you're cranking in the six-figure space, a lot of times we're beating ourselves up
Mhm.
because I've been there, right? I would love for you to share a moment in your career path that without true grit and resilience, we would not be having this conversation because you've had a very diverse. Done the cosmetology, you've done
Mhm.
the all, like all the different,
All
like we
sorts.
have so many, yeah, we have so many
So
things. But had you not pushed through, even when everything felt like it was pushing on you, you would
many.
not be having this conversation. And what's one strategy, one thing that you learned from that moment?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've been thinking about this a lot actually. And if you ask my family, they can they can pinpoint a single moment in my life where they're like, everything changed for you. So I had been working in retail sales. So I was a sales manager. I ran several stores. I was working in high-end retail. And and my work-life balance was so poor. I'm a single mom, and it just the scramble to work retail hours and try to be a good mom and have a life and try to date. Ugh, forget about it. And so I reached out to someone in my network. There's a chapter in my book called Your Network is Your Net Worth, because if you don't have a good network, you don't have anything. So I reached out to someone in my network and was like, hey, I really want to shift into the more corporate side of retail sales. And I want to do wholesaling and I want to do a little bit more. So I had an interview with a woman and I was really excited. It was a very natural next step for me. And I was snubbed pretty aggressively. She was quite rude, in fact. And in retrospect, I'm like, wow, that's not taking care of your network, because I came as a referral. But it kind of changed something for me, because it was like, you're not better than me. And I had to get a little bit angry. My best friend tells me all the time that I operate best in a level of optimal anxiety. I got to be a little bit on the edge to get things going. And so I found this like well of anger, of resentment, and instead of letting that take me down, I used it as fuel to move me further. So that was probably May of 2019. I decided to hire a business coach. Again, single mom, didn't have a ton of money. There's no way I was going to be able to afford this. Despite being so embarrassed, so uncomfortable, I sent out an email to every single person that I knew asking for money to help pay for this business coach. I had actually a hairdressing client that 15 years later, I still do her hair every 5 weeks. She's my only client that I have left. She gave me the money and said, I really believe in you. I think you can do this. Hired a business coach in October 2019. We all know what happened in March. And I was all of a sudden, I didn't have a job. I couldn't go anywhere, but I'd built up enough of this pressure on myself in a good way, and enough momentum through having done the hard things. I need to hire a coach. I need to go take this time. And now I had what every entrepreneur needs, is a ton of time on my hands. So the work from home ability for us to structure our own time is really difficult, especially in the beginning for everyone during COVID. But I showed up every day for myself and started this little video blog where I would just share tips and tricks on resilience and life skills and personal accountability. 2 months after doing that very consistently, that's what's so key is with this. I showed up consistently for myself for 2 months. I got a phone call. It's like, hey, Leah, I've started this company where we train sales teams on LinkedIn. I am overwhelmingly busy and I don't know what to do, but I need someone who's great on camera and I need someone with sales experience who also can learn data. And I was like, yes, Daddy, I would love to join your company. And he later told me that he had been sitting there talking to my stepmom and was like, man, I'm so stressed. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know who to reach out to. I wish I could clone myself. And she said, you know, you did that, right? You should probably just call Leah. So none of my other siblings got that phone call. So it's a little point of pride.
How many siblings?
I'm the oldest of 5 girls.
I'm the oldest of 4 girls. Oh my God, Leah!
We can talk about our trauma as the oldest daughter later.
And I'm the crazy one. Every sibling will tell you that I'm crazy. And yet yes. I'm also like, I get it. We'll talk off camera.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We don't need to document this.
We don't.
Okay. I still want to get my Christmas cards.
Right. So it's that like radical accountability. That's what my book's about, is about this. Everything is your fault. Take accountability for things, even though they're not your fault. How could what did I do wrong in that interview where that woman felt the need to snub me so hard? I probably didn't do anything. And the kindness and grace that I can give myself is I probably didn't do anything wrong. But I also can take accountability for the fact that I have the power and everything is my fault. And if it's my fault, it means I can take action to change it.
I think a lot of women, I think imposter syndrome is very real.
Yes.
And I think that oftentimes we project this without even realizing it. It's in our
Oh,
tone
yeah.
of voice. They did a study for male versus female submitting for a high level executive position. A
Yes, I've
male
read
who
this.
has 60% of the qualifications will submit it and say he has 100%.
Yes.
Right? A woman will wait until she's at 90 or greater percent
Yes.
for the qualifications, and she diminishes often what she has done. She's
Mhm.
typically at 110%,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I don't I can't wait to have a definitive answer why the female brain is wired this way. And this is a wiring thing. This is not, nobody needs to be shamed. We just need to be able to
Mm,
identify it. I think if we know how to identify when we're moving into, oh, wait, that's my imposter syndrome. It's coming through the projection of my voice. This person is
yes.
interpreting it and they're unsure if their time will be worthwhile. And then they push away, right?
Yes.
They're unsure. So I think that I think a lot of I think most people can be very successful. And
Yes.
there's enough stage, there's enough
Yeah.
money, there's enough
Yes.
opportunity for everybody to have a solid level of success. I'm not talking seven figures, but I'm talking success enough at, where you're generating a half
Yeah.
a million a year, you've got a
And
great
work-life
team.
balance.
And
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I always I
You are
always think you're
you
stop
are
it
so
more.
speaking my language, man. We're gonna figure out how to do a conference in January in a warm space. I've been thinking about this and I've got this whole group of gals. I'm going, what if we did a 1 week serious boot camp in like
Ooh, yes.
Cabo, and people are doing a 1 day, 8 hour high focus in that one genre. And you're going into your laptop, you're going into your accounts, you're
Yes.
designing your talk, you're laying out your book, you're doing like literally. So when you leave,
Mhm.
you've got your LinkedIn done, you've got your speech, your TEDx done, you've got
Yes.
your book outline and ready to be completed. You've got
Mhm.
like all of these things. Don't you think that would be amazing? Are you with me, Leah?
You are reading my mind. I do a Monday morning masterclass. I also co-own a wellness center here in Salt Lake City.
Oh, awesome.
And so, yeah, it's I do a lot of things. I follow the bliss. But every Monday we do a conscious business creator Monday because I had a woman who I was coaching. She's a professional speaker, motivational speaker, fantastic story. But she was like, "Oh, I just don't have time to work my business, like my sales or my CRM or my funnels because I spend too much time in strategy sessions." And I was like, "Ho ho ho ho, what? Sis, you have you can't spend all day strategizing and no time actioning." And so the idea of every Monday we get together and it's accountability, it's what are your next week's tasks, it's what actions are you taking. But to come together in a boot camp and say, we're going to spend a whole day building out a
Can you imagine? Yeah.
6-month LinkedIn campaign. We're going to spend a whole day working on your stage presence, your voice ticks, and really dialing in your speech. That, woof, woof.
Wouldn't that be an amazing? Like, I honestly, because I know that getting a good business coach is the reality is a good business coach is going to be anywhere between seven and $15,000 for a quarter. And these typically run in a Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've been thinking like I myself. So if I know I'm going to invest that in a quarter, would I invest that in a 1 week? You know what, folks? Let me know. Would you invest what you would spend on a quarter to have seven high level coaches come together and you spend one full day with a group of 10 people and that coach?
Oh,
And then in the evening, and I'm thinking that we wouldn't have any booze for the first like we'd have it the first like 5 days, and
yeah.
then we'd have, fun booze, and then we'd have, like, a mini awards, and maybe
Yes.
only open this up to, like, 50 people tops.
That sounds fantastic. That
50
sounds
people. So your group is 8 each day. It's 8 people. And the mentor in that space. This is awesome, Leah. You and I are going to talk. Okay, folks, you have witnessed it here. If you want to get on that Save My Seat list, let me know. This podcast will be out in August, September, which will be perfect timing because we'll probably have an early bird for you to join us somewhere warm. Awesome. I'm excited. I have learned so much on this podcast. Now, what can people learn from your book? What can they take away? So everything is your fault.
Everything is your fault. I broke it down into 6 pillars. When I was very young, I was actually homeless for a little while after I left my abusive first husband. I was 20. It was drama, but the 6 pillars that I look at my life in is the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your higher power. So it's self, higher power, tribe, meaning friends and family, your network, and your money. And so I go into those 5 pillars. So self, higher power, tribe, network, money, and then time. What's your relationship with your time management? So I break it down, the 6 pillars, how to take radical accountability for each of those. There's stuff about how to network effectively. There's things how to cut out toxic people in your life without causing more drama. There's ways to know what you want. I saw an interview with Oprah, and she said the most successful people are people who know what they want. So how do you figure out what you want? How do you even know what you like? How do you take away all the programming and figure out who you are and what you like? So that's what you learn from the book, is really how to build those relationships.
Amazing. And we can get this Amazon,
Yes, ma'am.
Barnes and Noble, I'm guessing. Like it'll be there, guys. Look up for. I know you only got a landing page, but if we go to your landing page, can we get directions to your book from there? Also.
Ooh, no,
okay,
but you can
Leah, we're gonna work on that. You and I will work on that. Okay.
On my website, you can find how to book me, some access to the newsletter. I'm because consistency is important. Newsletters, book time just to chat with me. I would love it. If anybody, 30 minutes, just hang out with me. Let's talk about
You're
what
like
you
me.
need.
You get invigorated by people with ideas and energy, don't you? I love it. And just you are a rock star, and I can't believe I feel like I should have been documenting my life because it's like because I did the 20 divorced from and single mom. Same thing. And I was in Kansas, and at 21, I packed everything into a car, including the baby, and went to Vegas for a job. Yep. And while I was in Vegas, I ended up homeless, lived in my car. Now, the good news, folks, my Toyota Corolla, which was like 20 years old, had a slight hole in the floorboard of the passenger side. So no matter how hot it got, I had great ventilation.
Oh my God.
So the reality is, I think we all have to look at our life experiences. If it's what others would deem as crappy, the fact is it's actually craptastic, because that craptastic experience can lead to a fantastic outcome. It leads to character. It leads to amazing Leahs and helping you find your bliss. This is amazing. I've had such a good time. Leah, where can we I'm going to put up your book real quick. So again, everything is your fault. No more excuses, no more blaming your current state, on a long and well-kept list of other things that caused you to be in these circumstances. I always said when I was young, because I came from a very, very tumultuous childhood, like court documented, it was bad. And I always said to my children, and I've said to myself, being an adult is the ultimate equalizer. I write the narrative.
Yes.
So I love that. I love meeting another person that has that same mindset. All right. Where can we find you, follow you, and engage with you? And I'm guessing you've got a LinkedIn account.
I do have a LinkedIn account. Come find me on LinkedIn. I love to connect on LinkedIn. You can also add me on Instagram. That's a little bit more of the life. I've kind of got the LinkedIn professional stuff. And then with the book and the wellness center, there's a little bit more of that kind of grit and tenacity and everything is your fault on the Instagram. But there's also my website, theblissmagic.com. You can book time on my calendar to just hang out with me and ask questions. I love giving away everything for free because why not?
Absolutely. And that's the
So,
world we're in is
yes,
yes,
yes.
that is the no like trust. And I knew that you understood the like aspect. And the like aspect is here, let me just share with you. I've already done it. I've already created it. Here it
Yeah.
is. If you would
Yes.
like me to be part of it, then you can trust me with your time or you can
Yes.
trust me with your investment.
Mhm.
Awesome. You are an absolute rock star. All right. So go find Miss Bliss. I love that. I love that. What a great name.
Thank you.
Let's go through your quote. We like to share quotes, and this is a personal original quote, which is awesome. And
Mhm.
why is this quote important to you?
So you are one decision away from a completely different life. I've done so much with my life. I have a friend that jokes that if I had to put every single job I've ever had on a business card, you wouldn't be able to read it.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that just because you're where you're at doesn't mean that's where you have to be. You can pick up and move. You can pick up, pack your car and move to Vegas. You can, right? Leave your toxic ex. You can change careers.
Yep.
You can shave your head. You can anything. You are one decision away. All you have to do is decide that you're going to sell all of your belongings. I have a dear friend, sold all of her belongings, bought a house in literally the middle of nowhere, beach town, Mexico, and has become one of the world's most influential yoga instructors. You don't, there's no rules. You can just do anything and that you don't have to wait.
And I will promise you this. When you start doing something, you're going to go through that moment of, is it relevant? Are too many other people are doing it? So
Mhm.
forth and so on. But remember this, when you go and buy a car that you love, you see only those cars on the road. This
Yes.
is actually a true thing, meaning that if
Mhm.
you are in the right space and you're seeing everybody do it, you are so in the right space and you should be doing it because not enough people are doing it because there are a lot of people looking for mentorship, leadership,
Yes.
sponsorship, coaching. They are looking for somebody to help guide them in their next step.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to
Absolutely.
feel so absolutely. I love this. Just go all in and it's okay.
Yes.
Uh Pivot, 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 baby. Just,
You can
it's like
always change your mind again.
just think you got that football. You're going down the field. You got to move. Move. So, and oh my God, I just look like my mother. Oh my God.
I
Just did
just watched
my mom.
the roast of Tom Brady last night, so I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, these are relevant
Yes.
analogies. Yeah, football."
Yes. Yeah, football. And it's literally that. I'm pivoting and moving a little bit. And luck is not luck. Luck is taking action
Mhm.
and see an opportunity. You create the opportunities and you take action on that. Is there a
Yes.
hole in that line? Can you squeeze through? Can you find the loophole in the rules
Yes.
so you can
Yes.
push a little bit harder? Miss Leah, you are an absolute rock star. I thoroughly 110% enjoyed your time.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you know what, folks? All of Leah's information will be in the show notes, including what she outlined. Remember, don't just repost. You get a point for liking, you get a point for repost, or 6 points for reposting, but you get 10 points for commenting. And then guess what? You can do them a favor, make a great comment, make it personalized, and then they comment back. And now you've just helped that person get 20 points and reach more people with because if you
Yes.
want them to be a client, then obviously
Yeah.
they're a good person to be
Mhm.
around. So help them get their message out. You
Absolutely.
are, I had so much fun. Alrighty, folks.
I love it.
All I can say is give yourself some space and some grace because I promise you, you are worth it. So stick around for my super duper outro. Thank you for joining us here today at Kim Talks Resilience. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I'd love to invite you to our resilient community at resilientgift.com. That's resilientgift.com, and we'll send you our magazine and tickets for upcoming events and all sorts of cool things we do here. So be sure to keep watching. And you know what? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring.